And we're live. Welcome to Whiskey Watches and Wheels. Guys, it's been like, we only missed 1 week. For those listening, you probably noticed we took a week off because, we had some work conflicts and everything, but Jesus, it seems like it's been a month. I missed you guys shooting the shit, and I actually enjoy this one night a week. So how's everyone doing?
Doing very well.
Sweet. Everyone having a good week so far? Yeah. I love
James is here.
I love it. So for those listening, my name is Low Testosterone Matt. Everyone else introduce yourselves.
I'm Casey.
I'm Kevin.
I'm James. And I'm Kevin.
Hey, you guys laugh, man. But listen, I'm 49 years old. Went to the doctor, and I knew my testosterone was low, and it was low. It's supposed to be between like 300 and 1100. It was like 209. So I'm low T Matty.
I feel bad for your wife.
I know it. Tell me about it. I told the doctor, I said, juice me up. I want the juice. And like in typical doctor fashion, she wants me to wait 3 months, like it's going to improve on its own. And I got to go back in 3 months and have the test done again. And then if it's still low, then they'll give me the juice. So
typical woman response too.
Always. Yep.
Just go ahead and wait.
Exactly. Yeah. So you guys going to introduce yourselves?
We already did.
Did you really? Okay, cool. I wasn't even paying attention.
Low T
I'm ignoring you guys.
His memory.
I love it. So I know that. Hey Casey, what are you wearing tonight? I heard you got something funny.
This is something that's very special. I'm going to own this one forever. Let me tell you, it's a custom watch. Let me take it off so you can see. So you can see this up close. Here you go. It's corn-fed right there. Corn-fed Farms. This is a watch that was given to me from someone that has a great sense of humor and knows how to take a joke. But this watch hails from Fucksville, Indiana, established 1978, and it's a prized possession. Look at that.
I love it.
Is that a corn? Is that a corn? That's corn cobs.
Corn cobs.
It's corn cobs.
This is classic. This is going to be
awesome.
This is going to be worth money. This is good.
So you have to send me a picture of that so we can put it on Instagram.
I'll do it.
Is that a one of one?
It's a one of one. Who else could wear it?
Yeah,
Who else would give it? Thank you, Aaron.
Corn-fed crew.
All right, who's next?
Who's
next?
Watches?
For watches.
I will. You see that? That's a
beautiful
automatic world timer Seiko, 1967, 6217-7010. It's got a really cool silver linen dial, which really shows well. Nice texture to it, and it has a cities of the world bezel, which works really well, and you can now track time in different cities.
Big fan of that watch. I love that.
Yeah, it's really sharp. I don't have the original band, but that's okay.
The inner rotating, the inner rotating bezel is that's the first time I've seen a watch like that. Actually,
yeah,
I don't know if that's common.
Yeah, they're very cool. Kevin, you want me to go or are you going to
go? Well, I have a watch. My watch that I wore today is actually, which we're going to talk about later on. It's going to be my birth year watch, but I do have another watch, which I'll talk about this a little bit later. So you probably can't see it, so I'll show it to you later. But it's a custom Seiko that it just got made. So I'll put that on the next podcast, so that you can see a little bit better. But my watch, I already have it set up for that I'm actually wearing is another. It's sitting on this tripod.
Okay,
thing.
cool. All right,
well, let's go to Matt, and then back to you, Kevin. You can kick that off.
Yeah, because we are going to do birthwear watches tonight. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So I am wearing a newer acquisition. I can't remember if I talked about this in the episode or not, or in the podcast. But so this is a Seiko 17 jewel UFO from 1973. Originally came on a steel band. I wasn't really happy with the band, so I put on this blue leather strap. And, it's 17 jewels, reference number 70067139. And other than that, there's not a lot known about it. Some of these real older, vintage watches, you don't get a lot of information on. So that's pretty much all that I know about it, but it's cool. It's, it's 39 millimeters. So it's a good size and it's pretty cool. I like it.
Love it.
And I don't own anything. When birth year 75, I don't own anything, so that's about as close as I get to 1975.
So I guess today's podcast, we're gonna be talking about watches that we either have or we would like to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's our birth year. So my birth year is 1976. So I have, I've talked about this watch before, a John Players watch. And let me zoom in a little bit on it. So this is the watch that I have. I did a blog on it. I'll kind of share the blog as well on our website. So you can read kind of all about the watch and some history of it. But it's basically from the Lotus Formula One team in the 70s. So feel free to go into our website and take a look. Mine does not have the double, what would you call that, James? The
Gold band?
Dual band. Yeah, the gold center. James actually has that, but it's, I'll zoom in on it. It's a nice watch. It's really, really clean. I like it a lot. And, you know, I actually wear that quite often.
I see you wear that a lot.
Yeah, I really like it. I tried to get the one off of James, but he wasn't coming off of it. It's pretty hard, the one that he has. So that's my birth year watch. Guys?
Go ahead, Casey.
So who wants to go next? You want to go, Casey?
All right, so I'm the youngin' here, I guess. 1984. I chose two because why not? The first one I chose is kind of, I don't know if it's a Grail watch, but I think it's super cool, which would be the Seiko 6309. And what's it called? It's called a Slim Willard. Is that what it's called, James? Do you know? But
yes,
anyhow, it's
Slim Willard.
Yeah, it's a diver. It's pretty sweet. It's simple. It's easy to read, and it's just got that classic kind of diver look. I think at one point I read, not about this one in particular, but for the model overall, that it was called kind of like the Seiko. I can't think right now. What is the Rolex Submariner? Thank you.
Submariner?
The Seiko Mariner. Yeah. So I thought that one was really cool. And if I can find one of those eventually, I'll pick one of those up. But then the dorky one I chose, another Seiko. Never seen this watch before in my life, but who doesn't need a watch that doubles as a typewriter? And I sent over a picture, and you can actually have like one of those heat transfer, like old receipt printers on it. Unbelievable. I've never seen this watch, but I would definitely try to wear it.
Is that?
Do you take that off of it? Do you take the watch off of that little thing and it connects it? Or
Yeah,
do you,
Or goes up your forearm.
Can you believe that? I mean, it's unbelievable. I've never. It's what a stupid design. But yeah, it will come off of that keyboard. And there was apparently a couple different keyboards that you could attach to. Like I said, one had a printer. I mean, just ridiculous. But that was 1984 and kind of like the computer age. It's when we really started taking off with that stuff. The original Mac at the Olympics. You remember that commercial with the Apple commercial for the Olympics? That's iconic, right?
It was only showing once.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But super cool commercial. And this watch, I think, kind of reflects the same thing, kind of the moment.
So I got a question for you, not about that one, just because that seems like a bit of a novelty. Certainly something that you wouldn't be in the clubs with, trying to, communicate with some other folks. But the first watch, how did you come across that one as your choice?
Well, I'm kind of obsessing over the divers right now, and so I had made a list of the divers that I want to pick up, and this was one of them. And I didn't honestly know what one was, that actually was made in my year. So just doing that, and of course the Stones, awesome. The fact that Mick Jagger wore one, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, Jagger, total Seiko guy. I've seen many photos of him wearing Seikos.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool. Kind of weird, I think. I mean, when you got unlimited funds and you choose to wear Seiko, I think that's really cool. I think I shouldn't use the word weird. I think it's really cool.
Sweet.
I think it just shows the quality. I mean, think about touring and everything like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
James, you're going to next. You want me to go?
I'm the old man. You go ahead, Matt.
All right, so I picked out three, and I don't really again we go to 1975. I was trying to pick things that were we all love Seikos. I really wanted to get something that was not necessarily a Seiko, something out of the ordinary. So I picked a couple different ones, and the first one was a Bulova Accutron. And I don't know a ton about the Bulova Accutron, but what I do know is they're really cool. The guys know I love square watches. And so this from 1975 was really, really cool. It was, Accutrons are really cool because, well, Casey knows more about Accutrons than probably I do. But I like how all the internals are shown. We were even talking one time that some Accutrons they made without the internal shown, and people would take the cases and open them up and take the dials off just to show the internal working parts. So this was one that I chose, Bull Accutron. Another one I chose
the Space View.
The Space View, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So then again, I love square watches, so I found this Hamilton. It's called a Hamilton Hawk from 1975. It's almost very similar color scheme to the 1973 Seiko that I wore tonight with the white and the blue. So again, yeah, I thought this was really a cool looking watch. And some of these were actually pretty affordable.
Right there.
Yeah. So that was really cool. And then last but not least for me was, of course, I'm a tag guy. So the Heuer Octavia, the GMT.
Sharp.
So that was a really cool thing there from 1975. Just such a classic look. I love the coloration of it. Just great
I love that watch.
dimensions to it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's great.
So yeah, so if I could pick something from my birth year, it'd be one of those three.
I was also curious that the crown is on the left side there. That's interesting.
I know. Yeah.
Kevin, you can work
Right-handed
with
guy
that one.
wearing a left-handed watch.
So that's one of the reasons why I like that watch is because I'm left-handed. So, and I just picked up a left-hand watch recently, so that I've been waiting for. So, yeah. So we'll talk about that later. But James, what you got?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about that Bulova.
Yeah.
That's super sharp, but I know that when you start going down that rabbit hole, you'll find that there's a whole bunch of different models.
Yeah.
So I've never seen that one before. I'm usually, a little bit on the older side, searching around for those.
The first one was what, 66?
I
Accutron,
don't know,
I'm not
but
sure.
I know that it was 60s.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about a completely different approach to a watch, right?
Yeah.
So going back to your point where people were removing it just to expose the insides, what does that say right there? That you're on to something, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
I don't know a lot about Bulova as a brand. I only own one Bulova currently. It was funny when I kept Googling 1975 watches and things. It was pretty amazing how many square watches I found. That must have been the design theme back then. There was a lot of there was more square watches than there was round. Which again, I love. I don't own a Tag Monaco yet. I am going to get one at some point. I've just always loved that square design element on the watches. So
yeah, that's pretty interesting observation. As far as trends go, right? It goes around, it comes around.
Yep.
So 50 years later, you're back in style.
Yeah.
Right? So
62 and 63 was the first Space Views coming out. 62 and 63. Wow. So there you go.
Now, were all Accutrons called Space View, or?
Yes. The Accutron name was that was the. So the Space View is just the one that shows the electronics inside. They still made this watch, the Movement 214, with a solid face. But
yeah, with the little tuning fork logo.
Correct.
Or whatever,
but the first tuning fork was called the Accutron.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. Very cool.
Well, let's see here. For my birth watch, I Googled 1975 and then subtracted 10. And came up with the Seiko 62 Moss. So I think that's that's been on my list for years. Um, First Japanese diver watch. Uh, Hard to
Classic.
find in a decent condition.
Mhm.
Or
As from
for
here,
reasonable money.
well, there's a reason they cost what they cost. So you're talking anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 for a decent one.
Mm.
But we just recently saw one that went for 9, which was super rare and very good condition. Um, I know that Seiko has reissued, I don't know, 16, 18 versions of this here recently.
But can
Mhm.
we talk about this for a second? Like how $9,000 for a unique Seiko, yeah. But how can we? I'd be really curious how we
Justify?
can Yeah, how can we justify it and verify that it's not a Franken watch that just pulled off, the dial and the hands and put it onto, a movement that had been pieced together. I mean,
It's tough, yeah.
I don't know that the Seikos have like the internal identification marks that like a Rolex or something would have. And I'm curious. I'm kind of asking that as a question, but how do we? It just seems that that's a hell of a watch, and I love it. I want one, but 9,000, man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I believe that's an outlier in a big way,
Yeah.
right?
And
You
you
also
guys keep on talking. I got to change my battery. This is the first time ever. So
Yeah. No worries, man. No worries.
so I'm gonna put it onto another camera view here. So let's see here.
No worries.
There you go.
There we go.
Engineering on the
battery, yeah.
fly.
Yeah, King
Yeah.
Type. You make a good point, Casey. So that really goes back to a lot of the watches. How do you guarantee the authenticity? I mean, especially if you're buying through someone like eBay now. Back in the day, eBay was the Wild West. You really didn't know what you were getting. At least now they've thrown in where they have for certain sellers, the authenticity is guaranteed.
Right.
But then you still have to go through. I mean, you bear the burden of going and having it checked out, tested, to see if it truly is authentic. And then if you have to have a guy, that, I know like James and Kevin has a guy, but I ain't got a guy, so you need someone who you trust that's going to, be honest about it,
And to that point, we are finding ourselves buying a lot of watches from overseas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that the Eastern Asian watch market is much more intense than it is here in America. And so they know that they're funneling something that's really highly desired, and we're paying up for these things.
Right.
But, again, I question myself is like, how do you know that they tell me it's authentic? It's got patina as if it's authentic, but could it have been, a piecemeal watch? I don't know.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
I think that
anything's
goes back to what we've discussed previously as far as finding somebody reputable that you've done business with, that you can trust, that can source, that can service, and go from there. As far as what I do, I can't even tell you the last time I went on eBay and looked at watches.
Yeah.
It's just not where I want to be buying watches.
No.
So,
and if you're gonna get, I mean, you can get some vintage stuff, but I mean, you have the places out there, Sam's Watch or Crown and Caliber. When you buy from a dealer like that, you're pretty confident that it's going to be real.
Are you? Are you?
I would think so. I mean, yeah. I mean, I personally would trust Crown and Caliber.
Okay, but
I mean, they're not sponsored.
How are they verifying it? They're still. I mean, again, if you're talking about a 50-year-old watch that has had to have been serviced and has had issues at least at some point in its life, right? But how are we verifying this stuff? And I'm very curious because I'd like to learn it, but I do scratch my head and I question some of it.
well, I think that you have to almost be brand specific. I don't think you can really be an expert at everything,
Sure.
right? So that goes with really anything. That goes from collecting vinyl to specifically collecting Blue Note deep groove records. You need to know all the telltale signs, and it's no different with Seiko watches or Omega watch.
Yeah,
it's true.
So
Yeah, I'll agree
I
with that.
think
And
go
I'm
ahead.
certainly not not an expert. And I guess, maybe if I mean, I guess, I guess the level of expertise that I want to buy, as in I'm buying, the seller, is a level greater than what I feel like I would be capable of doing, even with the things that I, think I know well.
Well, when you're buying newer stuff, I think it's a little easier because of serial numbers and part numbers and things like that, especially when you get into the higher grade watches, or the higher tier watches. But again, we talk about the vintage stuff, and it's really hard to identify that stuff. I mean, you can look at the dial, you can look at open up the case back and see if it's got stamped Seiko and things of that nature, or whoever the manufacturer is. But at some point in time, they could have gotten a similar part from another model year, and it may not be true to that particular model, and you might not be able to tell it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I look at it this way.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're not looking to, like me personally, I buy watches that I like. I don't intend on selling them. At some point in time, maybe I'll throw something up. But I mean, really, if you're not selling it, what does it really matter? If you like it and it runs properly, then hey, you're good.
I've tried so hard to let some of these watches go. Can't do it. Just can't. Good buyer, bad seller. Bad.
I'll let my kids deal with it when I'm dead and gone.
There you go. There you go.
They can sell it. So what else, guys? What else we want to talk about tonight?
Bourbon, always bourbon.
Bourbon, yeah. What bourbon are you drinking tonight?
We've got a Old Louisville, which is a new-ish distillery, and it's using Indiana bourbon, but some really good stuff. This is a single barrel pick I got middle of last year or so. Good stuff. 114 proof, so it's an easy sipper. Good. I'd recommend picking up a bottle of Old Louisville if you come across it. I think it's good stuff.
Awesome.
What's the price point?
Well, this is single barrel, so I think this is like $1.20. But I think if you find it on the shelf, you're probably going to pay, I don't know, $60, $80, something like that.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, I'd call it that. I'd call that mid-level stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. I haven't had a drink this month, so something to look forward to.
So did you guys hear anything special? I mean, I wasn't even following the news. Anything special going on at DRT this weekend? Have you guys heard anything this past weekend, I should say?
No, other than I wish I was there.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it down there. I went last year. It was fantastic. I believe this year was the 10th anniversary, and it looked like there was some amazing cars, amazing event, lots of activity. My Instagram feed is full of FOMO. How about that?
There you go.
There you go.
Lots of Porsche love. So
yeah, and it just looked like the layout, how the cars were presented, the shops that they had, music that they had. I thought it looked really good, and I'm bummed that I missed it. And
yeah, I hated to miss it. I really wanted to go, but I just couldn't get down to Miami in time. It's only a couple hours, but it's like 4 hours for me. But
when it's 25 degrees out, you'd rather be in Miami.
Well, that's just true.
So
it wasn't that bad here. Although, so on Saturday we were redoing the garage and everything, and then on Sunday we hopped on the motorcycles and went out to Epcot, to Disney, and going down there it was like 60 some odd degrees. It wasn't so bad, but coming back, started to lose that sun. It got real cold real fast. Oh. So I was happy to be home when we got there.
Here's a stupid story. When I first bought my first motorcycle, this would have been 2004. Spring of 2004, March of 2004. My parents always went to the SEC basketball tournament down in Atlanta. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. So I was like, hey, I'll ride my bike down there. I'll be damned if it didn't. I'd have froze my ass off the same way that you're talking about. Like, I'm like, It's like 40 degrees first thing in the morning. It'll be like 60. No, it's terrible. It snowed on the way down. It was the worst 6-hour drive of my life. Terrible.
So I love doing long trips. I mean, The
It's
longest
because
trip I've done so far.
you're sitting on a sofa.
I am driving a Barca Lounger, but the best trip I ever took was I hopped on the bike. I left Orlando, went to Savannah, spent the night in Savannah, went over to Asheville, spent a week in Asheville, did the entire Blue Ridge, came back, so it was like literally all in total, it was around 2,800 miles in the course of 7 days. And when you're on a trip like that, it's great because I was by myself, nobody else. Stacy didn't go, it was just me. And so it was in the heart of COVID, everything shut down, everything was stupid cheap. I mean, I was staying in hotel rooms, like the hotel that we normally stay in Savannah, which is usually around $340 to, $400 a night. I got for like $70 a night,
Nice.
the hotel I stayed in right outside the Biltmore was literally, I think it was like $80 a night. So, and it's just you in your helmet, in your thoughts, and you're just cruising. But my point was,
And your Barca Lounger.
on my Barca Lounger, but I left Orlando, and literally the day I was leaving, it was just pouring. I mean, just dumping rain. So I rode in the rain all the way from Orlando to Savannah. The rest of the trip was beautiful until literally I was coming back from Savannah, got back. The second I crossed the Florida line, it just started dumping again. So, you put on your rain gear, and I literally rode from, Jacksonville all the way home in the rain. But other than that, the trip was great,
Sounds about right for Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather be
listen,
on 3 wheels at that point than on 2, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I listen.
Only
Yeah.
if
So,
you're
so
Give me
for
my
those
4 wheels. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have a trike, not necessarily a motorcycle. So, but listen,
That's because your
you're in the elements.
testosterone is low.
Well, it's because of my wife, and I love my wife dearly, but to her, the third wheel gives safety, which I've explained to her that it doesn't. I guess. Well,
Do you have
I
any
guess
other
it
third
explains it
wheels
to
in
you
your
that
life?
it's a threesome.
Well, so here's the thing. So when Stacy and I got married, a billion years ago, I've always wanted bikes. I've always loved bikes. I know I was probably the guy that knew more about motorcycles and never owning one at that point in time, but she was just never about it. My mom worked for the hospital system for, her entire career. So, owning a motorcycle when I was a kid was not an option. So when we got married, Stacy wanted nothing about it. So that's fine. So I just pursued the car thing, and she never really messed with me about anything I did with cars. So it was a good trade-off. Well, then one day we were down, I thought it would be fun to go just get a couple scooters. So we go down to the motorcycle shop, looking at maybe some 49cc scooters or whatever. And she saw at that point in time, it was the Can-Am Ryker. They just come out with that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so small, 900cc or whatever. And she thought it was cool. And I'm like, all right. So then we start looking at it. And long story short, we bought 2 of those. And we went and took the motorcycle class together. It's so funny. In Florida, you take the same motorcycle class, you get the same motorcycle endorsement. No issues there at all. And so I could go buy a 2-wheel motorcycle tomorrow. I have them. I'm endorsed for it. But we had those for like a year, and then we upgraded to their F3T, which is their sportier touring model with 1,300 cc's, and we each have one, and we enjoy riding together on the weekends, and it's fun. Gives us something to do. Husband and wife time.
Yeah, I think that's cool. As long any hobby that you can enjoy with your wife, I think is good.
Yeah.
I wish my wife would learn to drive a manual, which would make it a little bit more fun. But I think we'll eventually just get her a PDK. That'll be fun.
There you go. Yeah. Stacy can drive a manual, but she's never driven the 911. Back when I had an FRS, she would drive that every now and then until I modded it to the point that she stalled it every time, because once you put a lightweight flywheel and a racing clutch, she had nothing, no part of it. So she'd stall it all the time. So she knows how to drive a manual. She learned on a manual. I've told her 1,000 times she could drive the 911. I mean, one thing about especially 911s with a stock flywheel and everything, you have to be
easy.
Crazy. It's so easy. I mean, you can let off the clutch and.
Do you have that anti-stall on a 997? Where if you start in the stall and you put the clutch in, it restarts. Okay.
Yes, we have that. It's not exactly. It won't restart, but there's a clutch switch, and it will retard the timing to make it very difficult to stall the vehicle.
Yeah, and I've never stalled mine.
Yeah, some people will complain because it kind of can make the start a little jerky. There's something up there if the actuator is not working properly. But it won't do the restart thing, but it does help you if you're a novice.
Yeah. I mean, you can literally just like Volkswagen. Jettas and GTIs are about the same way. You can literally, if you're at a dead stop, you can just ease off the clutch and pick up momentum, and you can let all the way off and never hit the throttle.
Yeah.
And you won't stall it.
Really interesting.
Yeah, you won't stall
Yeah,
it.
on the 991, it will. You just if you're starting to stall, you just put the clutch in, or if you do stall, you put the clutch in, it'll restart.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
pretty amazing. You know who I bet 100% knows how to drive a manual?
Oh yeah.
Oh, she does.
I'm sure she does.
Yes.
I love
Hey,
it.
I'm playing with my cameras because I don't know if you guys can see if I'm blurry. That's why I've changed the battery and it seems like I'm blurry, but hopefully it'll come through. So
I'm sure you're fine. I'm not worried about it.
Kevin's
got his new little setup with a camera switcher. So if you guys, people listening won't even know the difference. People watching may notice that, and don't worry about it. It's fine.
It makes his complexion nicer.
Yeah, listen, we're learning and we're growing. So all at the same time.
Speaking of Porsche news, you all sent out that Porsche catching on fire because why? Because it's electric.
Electric.
Well, first of all, yes, someone was blasphemy. They took out an air-cooled engine and put in an electric power plant into was that a 964? I couldn't tell because it was burn up.
No,
I think
it was a SC. That's right. The article said it was an SC. It was a 79.
Yeah,
79 SC. So, which irritates the hell out of me because I'm jonesing to have an SC, and someone took it and put a,
ruined it.
Yeah, ruined it. They put on
let it burn. Let it burn.
Electric power plant in it. Unbelievable. So, did you guys see this? So, CES was just out. For those who don't know, CES is the Consumer Electronics, CES, Computer Electronics, something or other. I don't know. It's where all the big tech companies release new stuff, And so they released. There's a Chinese company out there that's doing a flying car.
Yes, I love this.
It's called. So I wrote this down. So the company's called Xping Aero HT, and the name of the car is the eVTOL Flying Supercar.
Why do the Chinese always screw up the naming of everything?
I don't know.
Why can't they just call it Fly Car 1.0 or something?
I know. Since I was a kid, man, you see these flying cars, and usually they just look. I mean, they look like a Cessna with a kind of a more, I don't know, sleek body on them. But I mean, at the end of the day, the wings may tuck back, but it looks like an airplane,
Yeah.
And this thing is freaking awesome.
This is the quadcopter, right?
This is the quadcopter, yeah. And so this thing actually looks like a car. And so this is what it looks like right here. And so I got a couple different photos of it.
It doesn't look much like a car.
Yeah, no. So this top part here, though, these fold in and the roof comes down, and so when they're folded in, it chops and dices. So when it's in, you can't even really tell, that it's got wings. These things fold in and it goes down. I mean, I just thought it was cool because it actually all shits and giggles, it actually looks like a car for the most part, especially when those things are folded in. I tried to find a photo with it folded in. I couldn't find one.
Yeah, I think the concept's freaking cool. And I think the fact that it's quadcopter, I think those things that's if they could make it even like an 8 would be even better. But if you've ever flown a drone, a DJI or something, those things are super stable and easy to fly. And I think that could be the saving grace of this whole, futuristic weird idea, is that they're near impossible to wreck. I mean, as long as you don't, hit the rotors on stuff. But I mean, I think it's a cool idea. I don't know that I'd trust the Ultima drivers in it, whatever the Ultima version of this would be.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, can you imagine buying one of these that are for like 15 years old and someone's tooling around with it?
I mean, you'd have to put bumpers on or something.
There's zero chance of success with that thing. And actually out in public, forget it. It's
crazy. But you have to applaud them for the technology. I mean, at some point in time, they're going to strap someone to a drone and they're going to go flying in one. And they've messed around with a little bit small ones. They look almost like a motorcycle, but so at some point in time, they're going to slap some rotors to something and it's going to go up in the air.
Yeah, well, here's one. Jumbo personal drone.
Yeah.
Real people fly in China. So, I mean,
And we
China,
can't insure that.
No, we can't.
They don't get food, but they get flying drones. No big deal.
Yeah. Imagine one of the things you have to teach your kids when you're teaching them to drive is they have to watch out for falling drones while they're driving down the road.
Yeah, yeah. In Florida, it's falling lizards. In China, it's falling drones.
It's insane.
Oh.
What else we got, guys? Anything else new and interesting going on?
I think we all have low testosterone levels this evening.
No, I've just
Low
been
energy.
swamped with work. Work's been kicking my ass the last couple of weeks. The end of the year is a bear in my industry, and I call it surgery season right now. And it's this goes until about April, and it's just nonstop. It's super. I mean, it's great. This is when I make my living, but it's a lot.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, our work's been really, really slow lately as well, which is really weird. I mean, 2023 was a hell of a year. 2024, we have high hopes, and I know it's going to get better, but it's definitely slow coming out of the gate. It's definitely not where we thought it would be. I'm sure things will ramp up. I mean, typically, going into election years, it pick up. So I'm sure it'll rebound. It's just starting off slower than we anticipated.
Yeah, I've been super. My one company has been kind of slow, but I'm starting another venture, so making parts for Porsches. So I have been doing a lot of CNC milling and sending stuff to powder coat and then anodizing and finishes. And it's been that's what I was doing all day today, doing that and putting it on the website and trying to figure out like pictures and stuff like that. Some of the parts that I'm making have 10 or 12 different pieces that are milled and then springs and bolts. And I have to put all this stuff on Excel spreadsheets. So it's been kind of hectic. Thankfully it's slow, but I mean, I do have a team behind me that kind of does the day-to-day stuff that gives me the affordability to concentrate on this other thing. So
man, I can't wait to one day wake up and say, one of my companies I'm working on this, and my other company over here, they're paying the light bills. It's a little slow,
man,
but it's all good.
I could have a pool cleaning company and a lawn care company. It doesn't make I'm making all kinds of money, so that don't mean shit.
No shit. I don't know. So listen, I'll say this on the podcast. I have no secrets. So Stacy and I had a tumultuous weekend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before last. So, when we went to Alaska for our 25th wedding anniversary,
maybe Stacy has secrets though.
Yes. No, I'm telling you. So we always go through and we always, get something kind of like, monumental for our anniversary. So for me, I bought my Omega Speedmaster. We talked about it, and Stacy always gets some jewelry of some sort. So she found this beautiful ring that she got, and I'm not going to go disclose how much we paid for it. It was expensive, but her birthstone is an alexandrite. She's born in June, and they're very, very rare, to the point that usually your birthstone for June, it'll say like a pearl or whatever, because alexandrites are so rare. But she found a ring that actually had a real alexandrite stone in it. She absolutely loved it. So we buy it. And Saturday night, not the Saturday before, we were in the movie theater watching the Godzilla movie. And all of a sudden I just saw this look of panic on her face. And she realized that the main stone was missing out of her ring. So she lost the stone out of the ring.
In the popcorn?
No, she has no idea where she lost it. We've turned this house upside down. Again, it's a pear-shaped, stone out of a ring. So it's a good size, but it's not, it's going to be very difficult to find. We've checked the vacuum cleaners and all the usual stuff. We have the robot vacuums and everything, and checked everywhere, but who the fuck knows where it went? I mean, it could have gone anywhere,
That's brutal. So, sorry, man. That's terrible.
It's one of those things. We bought it from Diamonds International. They're being really cool. They sent her a claim form. She's got a representative she's dealing with, and we had to box it up and send it back to them for evaluation. I'm hopeful that they'll look at it and realize that something was defective on the setting and that's maybe why it fell out, because it's not even 6 months old. I mean, it should. I mean, we went in June, so it's literally just now 6 months. And so the main stone shouldn't fall out after 6 months. But
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, Matt, because I was talking to Casey on our chat, and I'm looking to probably, me and James, we made little watch drawers where all of our watches and stuff. And as I'm looking at these watches, and I have an Excel spreadsheet and stuff, and like, man, I got a lot of money into these watches. So now I'm looking at how am I going to drill a or put a locking mechanism into this drawer so you can't just open it. And I was online, and then it got me thinking, oh, you know what? I need to start insuring a lot of this stuff, and I do have a safe, but it's full of guns and stuff. So actually, I was supposed to do that yesterday, but move some stuff out so I can put my watches in there. But that's one of the things now that as my collection is kind of getting bigger, and I need to maybe probably insure it, because at my other house, I have some pretty nice artwork, and I have that insured, and I don't know why I didn't think about insuring some of these watches, especially with the way that they cost. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're there with you, so, hindsight's 2020. We never even thought about, and I'm the same way. I got a bunch of watches, and I don't, I've never insured them. I just, but it's more difficult to lose a watch, unless you got vandalized or burglarized at your house. But, with jewelry, we just never thought of it, And so people's like, oh, you can put on your homeowner's insurance. Yeah. Homeowner's insurance, literally, it's like, they give you like $1,500. They don't even give you like, nothing.
Oh, is that right? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Well, you can't actually put it on homeowner's insurance does not cover jewelry. So as I was talking to Casey, I looked up my homeowner's policy, and it does not cover jewelry or watches. You have to do an addendum for that, or artwork. Correct.
So
that's 100% correct.
I looked up ours. Ours was through Slide. It actually does cover watches and jewelry, but only up to $1,500. Yeah. So, well, no, I mean it's $1,500. So I mean, and listen, if you have a nice watch, a nice Seiko or whatever, yeah, $1,500 will cover that. But for the grand scale of what we have, all four of us on this call or on this podcast, that doesn't touch it. So
it's got to be at least $1,500 worth of watches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something I'm going to do as well. Like, and hey, we have an alarm and all that stuff. But, it's, my collection is getting kind of big. So it's, I don't know.
And ain't nobody
we're
got
right there with
one.
you. So we're definitely going to go through and do an addendum, and add some insurance to everything just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. And it's not much. I mean, when I did some of the artwork that I have for the other house, it wasn't a lot of money. Now granted, it's not going to be, I think I'll have a lot more money in watches, but some of these guys that I see on like TikTok, and not TikTok because I don't Instagram, how they get their watches stolen right off of their hand, or in their house.
A big thing in England right now.
Yeah,
is,
So
Rolex theft.
You get your house broken into, and I'd be screwed. Yeah, I would be pretty upset because the replacement value. I can't. Let's face it. Even just a Rolex, you get some Submariner. What do they cost? Like I think $8,000-9,000. You can't buy one of those. No, the same one for that kind of price. So we'll see what I'll do, and go from there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So so that's what's been going on with us. So we actually shipped it off to them, to Diamonds International. And the problem is, when you buy jewelry here stateside, for the most of them, whether mainstream jeweler, whatever, K's or whoever, Mayors, if you go have it inspected every 6 months, you lose something, it's under warranty, they cover it, but when you buy internationally like that, that's not the case, so we're hoping that, she sent it off today. So we'll see,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. So
cool.
James, what you been up to?
Yeah,
working. Working. Went on a drive this past weekend with a lot of the Charlotte crew.
Was it cold?
It was cold. Oh gosh, it was cold. It was not fun starting the SC. It was an air cooled event.
Yeah, that's called air cooled weather, isn't it?
Yeah, you get your little additional horsepower, but
There you go.
getting the car warmed up and out of your driveway or garage. Yeah,
Are you still on
not
summer
fun.
tires? You said you're on summer tires or
Yeah,
no?
summer tires. So
Yeah, that's
we could only do so much.
See,
Mhm.
this is a topic. This is a topic that we should discuss sometimes because I believe this whole summer tire thing in the cold is all a fallacy, and I'll tell you why. Briefly, I go racing on motorcycle tires that are slicks. I've done it in 32-degree weather. The racetrack is ice cold. As long as your tires get up to temp, you have stiction. When they're cold, of course they're hard and they're not sticky. But once the tire gets up to temperature, you still have plenty of traction. Plenty of traction. To the
But they're
point,
not going
well-
110, 120 miles per hour like you
Yeah.
are on your bike.
that's true. You can lower the pressure though if you need to get more movement in your
Heat.
sidewalls and generate heat. Now, is there a limit to that? Sure. You don't want to run at 15 pounds on your tire, but you can get heat into those things if A, you're moving, and B, you can lower pressure down to the necessary, as long as it's within the safe range, right? Don't be stupid. But you can get heat into those tires, and I'm legitimately saying that I've raced on these things down in when it's February. The first race of the season used to be February in outside of Savannah. And it was literally freezing, and we raced
Roebling.
just fine. Yeah, Roebling Road, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a post. Well, Saturday or Sunday, sorry, Sunday we're driving around and the temperature on my SC never even reached normal after hours of driving. That's
Yeah.
how
Oh, wow.
cold it was. Yeah. So I didn't really want to push it. No one wanted to push it. We all wanted to be smart and make sure we got home.
Yeah, and that would be
It was
I would
fun.
have a bigger issue with your oil temp not being up and doing its
Yeah.
proper jobs. You don't want that to be thick. Yeah,
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
I did see a post in a Porsche Facebook group this week regarding the tires, where if you're driving on the summer tires, somebody posted a photo of their tires just falling apart, essentially all cracked after driving 4 days or so
Oh,
in
wow.
this cold temps. So I don't know how valid it was, if it was some kind of a meme or
No,
just
so
something making the rounds.
there's a thing called cold tearing, and it occurs when you're pushing the tire too hard before it's up to temperature. The tire will literally rip apart. It'll chunk. It's awful.
That's what it looked
You-
like.
So you have to bring the tire up to temperature. And if you're not, so the big issue on the motorcycle racetrack is if you're not fast enough, if you're not good enough, and you're not able to put the temperature into the tire in the corners by braking and then coming out by accelerating, if you can't get the heat into the tire, you'll have cold tearing and you destroy a set, in one session. There is a certain bit of aggression that you have to have with these things, but if you get that tire up to temperature, if you have the ability to get up to temperature, it'll run just fine, regardless of the
That sounds like
outside.
a downward spiral there if you don't have the talent to get it up to temperature and it just falls away from there.
Yeah.
So
No
you're
joke, yeah.
pushing yourself on these cold tires to get
Yes, yeah,
you
which
know,
would be a
temperature
nightmare.
in
You're
there?
right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a recipe for disaster. I get it.
Yeah. That's not the last thing you want in next conditions is tire failure.
Yeah.
I won't
So.
take that in any condition, let alone cold.
Cool.
All right,
All
fellas.
right,
Well,
guys. So what? 48 minutes.
Yeah, 48
Guess we'll
minutes.
see you guys next time.
yeah. We'll call that an evening, and we will see you guys next time. For those listening, again, thank you so very much for listening. Check us out: Instagram, Whiskey Watches and Wheels. Our website, whiskeywatcheswheels.com. Hit us up on YouTube, Whiskey Watches and Wheels. You can either watch the podcast there, or you can download it on all your major sites. Spotify, Spotify, Amazon, Apple podcast. So thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys next week. All right.
Peace.
Good night,
Good
guys.
night.